Here's to the finest crew in Starfleet.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory.
Yo.
Jeff and I are huge Star Trek nerds, and Dory's a Star Trek novice, and we are taking her on our first journey through Star Trek: The Next Generation. Today we'll be discussing the Season 3 episode, Allegiance. Original air date, March 24th, 1990. And as always, we'll take it to Dory for the recap.
Dory, just before you start, we both know that we can sum up this entire episode with fan fiction come to life, right?
Yes. I was destroyed this episode. I'll get to it. And this is the only time. This is what my voice will sound like for this episode. Deal with it. Goodbye.
Yeah,
but
right.
Not actually goodbye. Okay, we start the episode off. We're leaving. We've eradicated some plague on a planet. It's cool. Their next mission is to rendezvous with the USS Hood to assist in terraforming efforts on Browder 4. So we see Picard is lounging and reading a book, just having a nice time.
Just chilling.
And then, rectangular blue box floats above him and scans him and then teleports him right out of there. And Data is oh, there's some weird energy in Picard's quarters. And so they go to investigate. I think Worf does. And then the door opens and it's just Picard standing there with a drink and holding a book, super casual, like anybody would. Mm-hmm. And they're oh, okay, I guess nothing is wrong. But something is wrong because that is not Picard.
Dun, dun, dun.
That is other Picard, which I have named in my notes, Faux Card.
Faux Card?
So that's how I will be referring to this. Picard will be Faux Card, and then when I say Picard, I mean real Picard.
Oh, Faux Card, that's even better. I
Faux
thought you
card,
said
the blowhard.
O Card.
No, faux,
as
faux,
in
F.
Because P's or O's the next letter in the alphabet.
No.
Faux Card's
card.
better.
Yeah. Okay.
Good joke. Less good joke to Maggie.
Okay.
I wasn't making a joke. I was just saying what I heard.
I know.
Wow, we got derailed real fast. Okay, so now we're with Picard in this room. It's this very silvery industrial style room, and we meet two other beings that are in the room with him. There's Martina Harrow, who's a first-year cadet from Starfleet Academy. Harrow's got blue skin with a line right down the middle of her face. Mm-hmm. It's a choice. It's an interesting look. And then we meet Kova Thal of Mizar 2.
We've actually met someone of that race before.
We have.
Yeah, it was in the conspiracy episode where he meets up with those captains on the fire planet.
Yep.
Ooh, very cool. Okay, so Thal is from a pretty I was gonna say chill. It's not chill. He's from a planet where they're very much into peace, so they're they just kind of will let they just peace is so important that they'll just let people
they just immediately surrender,
take over.
They're pushovers. Yeah. It's funny because I actually would always forget that race exists, except that Maggie and I used to play this game called Birth of the Federation all the time.
I was thinking exactly of Birth of the Federation.
Yeah, and their race would keep coming up, and so this was a strategy game, and the only defining feature of their race is that as soon as you meet them, they offer to join your empire and surrender.
Yeah. Because with the other sort of smaller races, you have to court them a little bit and try to get them to join your side and stuff. But them immediately they're just we'll join your empire.
Yep.
Okay, so then we learn that they've already been there for a few days, And Picard is introduced to a red Jell-O hockey puck, which is food. He's not so into it. Thal says that he tried to like escape by like trying to like play around with the door panel, but he was like got like shocked with light energy pain. I promise it makes sense.
Yeah, it's like it's some energy beam or whatever.
Yeah. So back on the Enterprise, Picard really wants to go to the Lanka cluster to see a pulsar. So he does one of my favorite things one of the things I've truly come to love with TNG is time has no fucking meaning. And so he's like, okay, we want to go there. And Wesley's like, oh yeah, if we do warp 7, it'll take 34 minutes. And then Picard is like, or we could do warp 2, which will take 31 hours.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And I'm just like, nice. Another episode where time truly makes no sense. Love it. So then Picard's like says to Riker, he's like, I'm gonna keep some shit close to my vest for now, okay? So like, you trust me, but I'm just like not gonna tell you some shit, so you gotta be real cool right now. And Riker's like, yeah, I trust you. So like, okay, that's okay. Okay, so now back in the other room, the captives room, we meet a fourth captive named Soach? Isoch? Wow, I tried to write phonetically what it was, and I did a terrible fucking job. He's from Chalna, which is a planet where they are like, they basically go like buck wild. It's like there's anarchy, no government. They just are like all over the place. And he basically looks like the Beast from Beauty and the Beast if he got like electrocuted a few times and just like had like a terrible underbite.
I was just gonna say he's just discount Beast, really. Yeah.
Just like if the Beast went through the like washer and dryer a couple times.
I always think of the Chalna as like discount Nausicaans.
Yeah.
Who are discount Klingons.
Yes, that's quite accurate.
Okay. Oh yeah, and so then we get to see Troy, Riker, Geordi, Data, and Worf playing poker. And it's so cute, and I love it so much. And then Picard comes in, and he's like, hey, Geordi, I need you to go make this even more efficient. Can you, like, leave? And Geordi's like, okay. And then they're like, I guess, Captain, you want to play or something? And he's like, no. And he's like, hey, Troy, listen, you would, like, tell me if people were shit-talking me, right? If, like, people were getting suspicious of my plans. And she's like, okay, what the fuck? Yeah, sure, I would tell you. And he's like, great, love to hear it. Then Picard chooses to get his annual physical, which according to Dr. C is very unusual. And then he does something even more unusual, which almost killed me. Picard asks Dr. C to have dinner with him in his quarters. Yeah, I fucking died.
Yeah.
I was like screaming internally. I can't scream out loud because I live in a home with other people.
Yeah, I totally forgot that stuff happened in this episode. And as I was watching it, I'm like, Dory must be she must be freaking out.
I wrote in my notes, I need to be sedated. But I also had to remember to like take a deep breath with this. I was excited, but I can't get too excited.
Yeah.
I had to keep my excitement to like a manageable level.
Yeah.
Because we are dealing with Picard.
Yeah.
So Picard then back in the listen, I'm going to call it what it is because I can't think of anything better. It's a fucking escape room, essentially. Yeah. So let's go back to Picard in the fucking escape room.
Yeah. I mean, you could call it a prison.
I mean, but it is an escape room in the end.
Yeah, that's true.
So, so they're trying to figure out how to get out of there, and Isoch like smashes the panel. Then Harrow tries to like get the door open. It like works for a second, but then there's like looks like there's like a wall, and then the doors close again. They're like, well, fuck me, that was like bad, and they're all like, yeah, they get the painful green light that Thal got or like previously. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we're in my my dream/nightmare. So Picard in a wrap top, first of all, with a very deep V. Okay, and also, listen, I've said that, other times, like, Dr. C looks incredible. No, I take it all back. She's never looked as good in this scene than, like, she looks incredible. They finally did her makeup nicely. The lighting is great. She just looks amazing. And she's wearing earrings and like a dress. And she just looks so amazing. Like, I would go on a date with Dr. C like that. Like, holy shit. She looks amazing. And so her and Picard are talking about choices they've made. And I'm just like livid. I'm losing my fucking mind. And he's like, I wonder if we made the right decision. And like our professional positions allowed us to like keep our distance. But like, there's a risk of getting too detached and maybe that's bad. And then he says, you're a very attractive woman. And then Dr. C goes, and you're a very attractive man. But we both know it's not as simple as that. And then Picard leans forward, and I almost threw up in my mouth with happiness, but also anger. And like, Picard just was like, is it simpler? Would it be simpler if I wasn't the captain? And she's like, well, maybe, but there's like other shit. And she's like happy with how their relationship is. And then he's like, hey, want to dance? And then I needed to like be brought back to life by a defibrillator because I was just basically about to fall into a coma.
Yeah.
And so they're slow dancing and it's like so fucking adorable. And I'm like, it's so sweet and it's so cute that I truly am about to fall into a diabetic coma. But I also wrote in my notes, but it's not real. So I'm still dying, but in a different way. And then, Picard tells Dr. C that he's like happy she's back at the ship and he missed her. And I was just like ready to smash my head on my desk. This has ruined my life. This one episode has ruined my fucking week. And that's saying a lot considering what the fuck's happening in my life right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this episode ruined me more. So then they kiss. Wait, do they kiss when they're sitting? I don't remember.
No,
it's while they're dancing.
When they're dancing. Yeah. And I just like furious. I'm furious and just like, because none of it's real, guys. None of it matters because we know after this, Beverly's not going to say a fucking thing to Picard. And and Picard's not going to have any idea this shit happened and nothing will change. So yeah, it's a fan fiction like dream, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't, like, my whole thing is I love continuity. I love follow through and consequences. Nothing matters for this. None of this. It's basically like they can retcon it almost because like it doesn't matter. Because it's Picard. It's not Picard.
That's right.
And it's like infuriating. So I was simultaneously ecstatic and ready to like burn everything to the ground. It's a lot of mixed feelings. And so then Dr. C is like, are you playing games with me? Because this is like a little questionable. And then he immediately is like, okay, maybe you should leave now. Goodbye. And just like opens the door very suddenly and then like leans on the door. And I'm like, they have the fucking audacity to show him leaning on a fucking door again. In this scene, they're going to show me all this shit. And then they're going to end it with him leaning. What the fuck? They're going to do one of my favorite things that they do in this fucking show. They give me, they're going to give me, like this episode, they're going to give me a really fucked up timeline and they're going to have Picard lean on something with his arm.
You know what's great about
that? The fucking
that?
Audacity of this episode.
You see real Picard like 2 seconds later and he is leaning in exactly the same way that Picard was.
But it's not in the context I want it to be.
No, it's not. It's not. It's just really funny that he is in practically the same position. The shot is even very similar, and I'm just like, guys, you did this on purpose.
Oh yeah.
This episode is destroying my fucking life. So yeah, back in the escape room, What did I write in my notes? Christ, there's so much shit. I don't know. Oh yeah, they're like, what if Thal is undercover? Whatever. Pff, nobody cares. Next. Back to Picard and that. Back to the Enterprise. Okay, so Riker's having a drink with Troy. He's like, the captain is being weird. It's off. I recognize it's off. And then Picard comes in and he's like, an ale for me. An ale for everyone. And I kind of like, okay, here's the thing. In theory, I love it. But at the same time, like saying drinks for everyone in the context of TNG truly fucking means nothing because you can get as many fucking drinks as you want.
Yeah, like
It's
this is our luxury
like-
gay space communist future.
Yeah.
Like at saying around for everyone is like, hey, does everyone want a
useless.
piece of paper?
Yeah, that's
Thanks.
That's exactly the point I was about to make, but I realized that I was like jumping too quick. But
Yeah,
like
it's like in like our day and age, that's a really nice gesture.
Yeah.
But in theirs, that's stupid.
it literally doesn't mean anything because the drinks are
it's-
free.
Yeah. Like it's so dumb. So I was like, it's not the gesture you think it is, bro. It's really not.
Yeah.
And then he's like singing with these guys, and I was like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like these randos he's singing with. Yes, they're randos on the Enterprise, but they're still randos to me because I don't know their names. So Riker, even Geordi, everybody's like, the fuck is happening with this? This is really weird.
Yeah.
And then the group like basically gets together to shit talk Picard, and it's so good. They're all just like, it's really weird. And Dr. C's like, yeah, I also had a weird thing, but I'm not going to say anything else about it. Yeah. Like, honestly, fair.
Yeah. She just says it was an unusual evening.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So then like back on the bridge, Picard is like, okay, we're going to like do this shit. So then, which will result in the like shields basically like not like only working for a very short amount of time when we get to the pulsar thing. And Riker's like, what the fuck? That's like a bad thing because, you know, we get close enough to that thing, we're all gonna fucking die. So
Yeah.
what the fuck, bro? And Riker tells Picard that he's being fucking weird. And then Picard tries to fully gaslight Riker. He's like, I guess that you're like tired and you're stressed. But he's like basically he's telling him like he's basically like overreacting or making it up. And Picard is doing, you know, just regular shit. Don't worry about it, Riker. It's not your concern. He's the captain always and now.
Yeah, that's sketchy.
Yeah.
That's weird. Sorry.
Okay. So then Picard, yeah, he wants to get the ship weirdly close. So he's like, let's go closer. And then Riker is like, absolutely fucking not.
Yeah.
And then Picard is like, Worf, like take Riker to his quarters. And then Worf just like doesn't move. And I just was like, I know it. I love it.
Yeah.
Worf is always Team Riker. I love it so much.
That's like such a like that is such a huge deal because like
Yeah.
Worf is very like authority driven.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
like for
very
him
much
to
so.
disobey Picard is like really
Yeah. Well, I guess like even Worf could tell this is like
yeah.
questionable. And then Riker says to West to like get them the fuck out of there because this is like bad. And then Picard just kind of stands there. So now in the escape room, Picard finally realizes they're in an escape room. And that Harrow is like, it's basically, she like is part of it. And it's basically like a test to see how they react to authority, which is honestly very anticlimactic
Yeah.
Yes.
and lame.
That's a
also
very good
does
word
really
for
make-
it, yeah.
But like I also would really love to see this group in an actual escape room. That would be fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Harrow turns into 3 aliens with dinosaur heads and blue shiny jumpsuits.
And some absolute cake in the back too.
Yes! Oh my god. Yes, I thought the exact same thing. I was like, damn, these randos are like packing a real dump truck back there.
Yeah.
then basically they wanted to like continue the experiment, but they were figured out. So like, I guess they'll like return the captives, whatever. So they bring Picard back to the ship and back to the Enterprise. And then it's like, surprise, Picard is another, like, I don't want to call them dump truck aliens, but I truly don't know what they're called.
Yeah.
It's okay. Neither does anyone else.
Yeah.
No.
So, yeah, it turns out to be a dump truck alien. And everybody's like, what the fuck? But also like weirdly chill. But then like, apparently, all you need is a couple of like, not even intense, but just like light glances at each other. And the fucking bridge crew is psychic. Mm-hmm. So like Picard, I don't know, Riker makes a face and then like they put the dump truck aliens in like a light prison, whatever. And they're like,
it's like a force
trap.
field.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're like, surprise, now you're trapped. And then Picard is like, haha, I'm so proud I could tell everybody with just one look to like do this shit. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was a
whatever.
very weird choice.
Because they made like this offhand comment about how like verbal communication like sucks or whatever. And then like that for some reason became like the whole thing of the ending.
Yeah, it was like, okay, nice. That's a stretch, Picard, but you know what? I'm happy to see you. So
yeah,
even though we saw him the whole episode, just in different forms.
Yeah, Patrick Stewart really got his chance with this one. He got to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I did really feel bad for the dump truck aliens because like they didn't really mean any like harm. They were just like experimenting, and they didn't really understand they did something wrong. And so when they were in pain, I was like, oh,
yeah,
like let them go. Like that's really sad.
And
the fact that Picard was a huge... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I agree with you totally, because we've seen Picard and the crew have way more sympathy for aliens that have done much worse.
Yes. Yeah, very
It's
true.
like he I feel like Picard would be more like, you know, give like a stern lecture about how that's bad and like, hey, you shouldn't do that anymore because this and this, and not like, haha, now I'm gonna put you in a cage.
It kind of feels like they had a message to put in at the end of the episode, but they weren't really writing the script around this message in the first place, so it kind of doesn't come off right.
Yeah, it was a little weird, but
yeah, this episode was very empty in my opinion.
Oh wait,
I
still have a little bit more of the recap.
Oh yeah, there's
sorry,
technically still more.
Very, very little bit left. So then, like, they're gone. The dump truck aliens are gone. And so then Picard is like, then my doppelganger caused no serious damage. The replica was convincing. And then Riker is like, very convincing, but not perfect. And then Picard goes, not perfect in what way? And then Riker goes, well, sir, I find it hard to believe that you're that good a singer. And Picard goes, singer? I look forward to reading your report, Commander. At least I think I do. Ooh. And then Dr. C comes in and Picard makes it awkward real fast.
Yeah.
The end of this episode.
It kind of felt like the ending was like they were trying to do a TOS ending almost with like a dun 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 dun.
Yeah, with like them laughing freeze frame. Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly expected Picard to, like, when he said his line, is like, well, like, oh, I guess I'll read it in the report. Or maybe I won't. I kept expecting him to turn and look at the camera and freeze. or wink or something. Just turn and wink. Yeah. And I truly was waiting for that. But it, of course, didn't happen.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, like I was saying, this episode, I enjoy this episode. Like, it's fine. It's like, if you put it on, it'll definitely, like, you know, you won't, like...
It's not boring.
Yeah, it's not boring.
Yeah.
It feels like they kind of wrote an excuse to do some shenanigans, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, I mean, if you want an emotional roller coaster of an episode, this is it.
Yeah.
I was
if you're very
invested
in Jean-Bev.
I mean, honestly, all this did was really, like, prove how much chemistry they have.
Oh, yeah.
All
Holy
it did
shit.
was just be like, when they were dancing, I was like, God, get a room. And then I was like, oh, they have.
Yeah,
We're just there.
They have
We're
a room
watching
and
it.
we get to see it.
It's like we're in their room with them.
But yeah, Gates McFadden and Patrick Stewart, insane chemistry.
Yes.
And Gates McFadden's just fucking beautiful also. With
Oh, she just looks incredible in their date. I mean, she's gorgeous in general, but like, holy shit. Like, finally the makeup people, like, no offense, a little bit offense to the makeup people in the past, but I always find they put like a weird like makeup on her sometimes, like the colors just like don't. I know it's like early 90s, so that's like the trendiness, but
Yeah.
her with like very, very natural, like very minimal. Oh,
yeah.
A++.
You don't get to see that very
Yeah.
often on her.
Yeah. And I think that it might also have to do with the fact that like back in the day they weren't really expecting this to be seen in high resolution. So like maybe the makeup was a bit more extreme for on camera.
Yeah,
Maybe.
what it is that there is while that was the approach back then, there were also very different standards for television makeup in general, not just so
yeah.
that people would appear more, but it was this obsession in the 80s of doing really over the top makeup. And this is the early 90s, and that hasn't quite faded yet. But if you look at, like, basically any, like, soap opera or whatnot back in the 1980s and 1990s, they really cake it on to female characters. They want their skin to look, like, as perfectly smooth and pale as possible.
Yeah.
And it's kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I feel like, because I remember when the whole shift over to HD happened,
Yeah.
that it's literally like, I think you actually have to wear like more makeup now with HD.
Yeah, you do. I actually noticed it a little bit in a very weird context. So I was having a discussion with some people online about how Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise, changes between the third and the fourth season because they swap from doing it all on film to doing it on on digital, and
Yeah.
that was only for the last season. So you can immediately tell the changes in how things are lit and how things are colored, and they did their best to like match it as much as possible. But especially in on-set lighting, like diegetic lighting,
Yeah.
you can really tell where the differences are.
Oh,
People's
yeah.
makeup
Well-
definitely appears differently.
Well, you also have to think about lighting in a completely opposite way.
Yes.
On film, on film, you're protecting your highlights.
Yes.
And on digital, you're protecting your low lights, your shadows.
Wait, no, I think it's the other way around.
Is it?
It's easier to overexpose on digital than it is to underexpose.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking about like what maintains the information because
Oh,
on
okay.
on film, if you push process, like there's only so much information you can get out of the shadows, but if you underexpose film, you can still get a lot of information out of the overexposed areas, where it's kind of
Okay,
the opposite
so-
in digital.
It's yes, you're correct. The I think the way that you said it at first was the opposite of what you just said. What you just said is correct.
Oh, was it? Okay. Oh, yes. Yeah, I did say it backwards. Okay, yeah.
That's okay. But yeah, it's complex, and like when you're dealing with a set change like what I was comparing on Enterprise, it's a little bit different, obviously. But looking at some of this like early 90s makeup jobs and even the amount of detail that you're seeing in the sets themselves, like you can see where corners were cut. And like that's not necessarily a bad thing because like the show isn't worse for it or anything like that, but it is definitely a situation where you can see it and it is noticeable, and these are things that wouldn't really be acceptable on TV sets nowadays.
Yeah. The standard is a lot different.
Yeah, I would say the standard is to a degree almost too much now, and
Yeah, it
that's-
can be.
Yeah, but
Yeah, 'cause
back to the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, because I was gonna jump off that point in that, like, yeah, I think the standard is a little too much in terms of like that they're putting their priorities not necessarily where they should.
Yes.
Where it's like, you've cut corners in other places, but your set looks great, you know?
Yeah. I think it's too bad with this episode in particular that we get all these really nice moments, because the last 3 episodes that we got were actually real strong, and this one is just kind of okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
but I mean,
it's
they
kind
can't
of
keep it up
like
forever.
anticlimactic after that like big run, run of like 3-4 really solid episodes.
Yeah, especially the way that it starts off with like that weird 2001 Space Odyssey monolith hovering over him at the beginning.
Oh yeah, this I was gonna say this feels like a early TNG storyline to me, like maybe a little TOSE.
So I was gonna point that out actually, because the kidnapped by aliens for experiments thing has been done in I think every series of Star Trek to some degree.
It's also just like a very cliche sci-fi trope thing.
Yeah, and it has been done in the original series as well. But I would even say within TNG, it's been done better. I wouldn't say it's been done better up until this point, because I think this is the only time that we've had this so far.
Oh no, there was the weird face alien. You know, where there's
yes,
two
Nagilum.
Enterprises. Yeah, Nagilum.
Yes. Okay, yeah, good point. Okay, so yeah, they have done this before. It won't be the last time, and I wouldn't even say this is one of the weaker times that they do it. It's just it's fine, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not amazing, but it's not like bad.
Yeah.
If you need,
I guess it's truly just fine.
Yeah, if you need something in the background, this is the perfect episode.
Yeah.
It's like
you can
just interesting enough, but like not so interesting that you are distracted from what you're doing.
And you can also then like potentially on purpose miss the fact that it's Picard with Beverly. So then you could potentially be like, it's really happening, but I'm just tuning in sporadically, so I'm only seeing the parts I want to see.
Yeah. It's weird because like this Picard
I feel like that would be extra devastating though, because you thought it was real and then it's like, no, it was Picard.
Listen, I want people to suffer like I did. No, I'm kidding.
But with this Picard, I think what frustrated me about it is there are moments in which he is like completely on character. So like for instance, when he comes into the poker game and he's having like a weird discussion with them, and like he won't participate, he's backing off from it, but you know, he'll watch from afar. That's a very Picard thing to do. But everything else that's surrounding that, all of these actions that he's taken are like, they're super obvious that something's up with him. And the episode doesn't do a good job of explaining exactly how he's been cloned like this with like all of these perfect memories, and yet no idea how to really operate on them. And then it turns out that he's one of the aliens, or maybe not. Maybe that just alien transports into his place, because they don't explain that very well either. There's so many sci-fi things in this that don't really add up.
Wait, I just thought of something. Was the Enterprise supposed to be included in this experiment, or is it just Picard? Because I'm like, what the fuck was the point of Picard getting them to that pulsar?
Oh, well, you see, the answer to that is...
Because he was basically ready to, like, let them all die.
No, my silence
like,
was
no.
the answer. They didn't tell us, and they didn't think about it, obviously. It's weird because, like, there isn't a lot of background info on this episode. It just kind of seems to have been, like, a toss-aside episode. But it seems like everybody who put it together really enjoyed making it. And I can see why, considering the scenes that are happening in there. It must have been a joy for the actors. It must have been a joy to write. But there's things that get overlooked in it, and it ends up not being a strong outing because of it. And like that's one of those things. It's a major plot hole. Why were they going there? What was the point?
Yeah.
Why were they going where?
To the
pulsar.
Oh,
and he was fully ready to kill them all.
Well, I think that's part of the experiment. They wanted to see how far they would go, how far they would follow orders.
Okay.
Well, that's what I was asking. Is like the ship, like the Enterprise stuff, part of the escape room?
It's not part of the escape room strictly, but I think they
like the experiment.
Yeah.
So they were testing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also frustrating that as soon as real Picard gets back, it's like everybody knows exactly what's up.
Yeah. Well,
except for Beverly. Dr. C has no idea what the fuck's just happened.
I meant
She
everybody
walks
on the
in and
bridge.
everything's weird.
Like, they all understand
yeah.
immediately, especially when Picard, like, immediately entraps those people, and, like, Riker has this, like, dirty smirk on his face, and it's like, but you haven't been... All right, whatever.
I do like that people were able to figure it out, like, pretty quickly. And, like, everybody sort of slowly, like, Riker, obviously, like, I mean, I guess Troy kind of thought stuff was weird when he was like, hey, you'll tell me if people are, like, shit-talking me, right?
Oh, yeah, she reacted weirdly to that immediately.
Yeah, so I do like that people pretty quickly caught on, like, even before, like, Riker was like, something's weird with him. And then he started to sing, and then he's like, yeah. So, like,
Now
he already thought
something's real
something was
weird.
suspicious until he's like, I didn't like the singing. Sorry.
I mean, he's a good singer, but I would like to criticize Star Trek for always having this, like, weird attachment to, like, ancient naval traditions that aren't even accurate now.
Well, you know what I also thought was really funny is it looked like they were trying to, like, some of the characters were, like, trying to pretend they knew the words.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think at one point, like, Geordi does, like, makes, like, it looks like he's trying to sing along or something, but he doesn't know it.
Dory,
I thought that was very funny.
do you remember that always reminds me of this because it's what do you call it? It's Michael Dorn in the moment of it too. So do you remember after we finished season 2, we showed you the blooper reel of that season, and one of them is Gene Roddenberry, the main character from the Irishmen Invade the Ship episode. And Michael Dorn are all singing some song together, and Michael Dorn is like in full makeup in between the two of them, and it's clear the two of them know the song like off the top of their heads, and he's just kind of moving his mouth and awkwardly dancing his head around to it and doesn't know what to say. And this moment reminded me of that immediately because I have seen that blooper reel, God, at least like 2 or 3 dozen times. Oh God, it's just, I love Michael Dorn being awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah, this wasn't like I mean, a bunch of stuff happened, but there's like not a ton to discuss about it.
No,
maybe?
this was a budget balancing episode, by the way, because the yesterday's Enterprise was really expensive to make, and this
I
one they
bet.
only had to make one set for it, and it was a pretty damn simple set.
Yeah. I mean, this episode is like eating a handful of Smarties. It's really... It's enjoyable, but there really isn't much to say about it. It's a handful of Smarties.
That is probably one of the most perfect summations that I have heard of a it's fine episode before, and I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
And
should we move on?
Just in case this is ever heard by someone in America, or in the States rather, I mean Canadian Smarties, like the shitty version of M&M's.
Yes.
In my opinion, that might be a hot take.
Wow. You want to go?
That might be a hot
love
take.
Smarties. Love Smarties.
They're
I
good.
always-
I think M&M's are better.
Regular M&Ms, I disagree, but like the peanut butter M&Ms.
Oh, fair
Oh
point. Yep.
shit! Like that stuff is amazing.
Oh, okay. This is real random. But do any of you remember those like... Oh, I wish I could remember what they were called, but they were like candy things that were like... They were advertised as like little planets. It's like they had the cookie in the middle and then chocolate and then like the candy coating.
Yes, I do.
I fucking love those.
They got they got, I don't know if they got bought or they were owned by another company later on. I think it was Wonka that owned it or something like that, but they stopped branding it like that and gave them a different name.
Oh.
I think they still exist, but they're real hard to find.
Oh,
I used to be able to
damn,
get them at like 7-Eleven.
Yeah, because I love those. I especially loved like... Yeah, it felt like you were eating a planet because like the cookie was the core and then...
Yes.
You know, the chocolate mantle and then the candy crust.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. They're similar to what's that one with the red package? That it's not a cookie in the center. It's like a wafer thing. Milk duds, is it? Maybe not.
No,
I don't know.
maybe.
There's something that's similar to that I think is like a strong contender for being not a replacement, but for at least being a decent substitute.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one that you're talking about, I would love to try to find it again.
Oh my god, I've never had this. I've never even heard of this, and it's blowing my mind. Oh my god, I want some random ass old candy.
It was really good. I liked it because I liked the texture of like the crunchy bit in the middle.
I mean, it just sounds like it is everything. Chocolate, candy, cookie. Mm-hmm. What else? I mean, cake. That's the only thing missing.
That's
Ice
fair,
cream.
yes.
Yeah, because
But for the most part, that's like a combo deal.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, let's I guess we should step away from sidetrack corner, from old
Candy corner.
Yeah, candy corner,
Candy corner.
and discuss our favorite moments and lines and things of that nature.
I don't know. Honestly, this episode, because like I want to say the Picard and Beverly stuff, but it totally destroyed me. I liked their dancing. I like that we got to see poker again. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Dr. C and the date looked incredible. That's my favorite part.
Nice.
Fair.
That's I think all I have. Oh, and I guess maybe the reveal that one alien was actually 3 dump truck aliens, because that was kind of funny. Just like, surprise, there's 3 of them.
I don't know if I have anything favorite from this episode. It's all like kind of like, yeah, that was good. That was fine.
I really enjoy the free ales for all moment, but that's because it ends up being the intro to the Captain Picard song.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, we cannot show that to Dory because there are spoilers in it.
Yeah.
So we'll have to keep it for you from now. But it was like a meme song that went around the internet like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's an accompanying video to it. So we will show it to you one day.
This is how far back this goes. It was like a well-known song on like LimeWire. And
Yeah,
and,
it was
like,
pre-YouTube.
Yeah. So that's what it was like.
LimeWire.
Anyone that used like LimeWire or anything similar, like it might have gone all the way back to Napster. Actually, the song, I'm not entirely sure, but like
It was it was
like back in the day, songs could get famous that way. It was just like, oh, like it's this joke song on LimeWire.
It was made by some guy. I think his username was. Shit, it's a fucking Final
It's
Fantasy
like Dark Materia or something.
That's right, Dark Materia. And yeah, so they made it like, I don't know, 15 or 20 years ago. I think it might have been YTMND that got it really big. Because I remember it being a thing there. I think the video came later. Like because there's a YouTube accompaniment video, but yeah, I know because there's another podcast that I listen to that actually got permission from Dark Materia to use that song at the beginning of their podcast as like their intro song.
Oh, wicked.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's basically a song made up of just lines that Picard has said throughout the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
It's a very weird, like, kind of electronic song, and it uses very well-known quotes to great effect, and it ends up being very funny because of how well they sync them up purposely to the music, including with like pauses in between, so it won't be like, oh, this is the way that he says it normally, but they'll like take what he says and then put in gaps so that it lines up with the music and it ends up sounding really amusing.
Is there any lines that like we've already heard?
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Like
the here's to the finest crew in Starfleet thing is actually how the song starts.
Yeah, that's how it opens.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
But yeah, there are things that we have already seen. However, we can't get to it yet because there are very famous moments in Picard's history on Star Trek that end up getting used in it, and we can't spoil it for you.
Yeah.
Fair.
I think, isn't the chorus just like Captain Jean-Luc Picard of
Of the
USS
USS Enterprise. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know which episode that's specifically taken from, but like, we've heard him say that.
Yes, we have.
So, in that case, we should move along to predictions for the next episode.
Yes.
Nice.
So, Dory, the next episode is called Captain's Holiday.
Ooh.
Yeah. And your tidbit for this episode is that Picard goes on an archaeology adventure with a strange lady.
Oh. Ooh, okay. I love it. Oh my god, I love that he gets to go on vacation. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I love it. Ah! Okay. Okay, I would guess that the lady, like, okay, so I guess Picard has like, oh, okay. So this is, so Picard has saved up like vacation days. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they have. I don't know what they call it in Starfleet, but let's call it vacation.
It'd be
days.
like shore leave, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah, kind of.
So he's got a bunch of shore leave days, like that he's like stocked for like that he's like compiled for like a special occasion. Mm-hmm. And then he gets notified of like, hey, there's an opportunity for like, we know you're interested in archaeology and that stuff, and like would you be, we're like not far, would you be interested in like hanging out, and like this is a pretty not invasive situation, so would you want to like hang out and do this with us? And the archaeologist, the person, is the strange lady, or the strange lady is the archaeology thing. It is the thing they find. What if, okay, you know what, scratch that, it's not the archaeologist, the strange
so it's
lady
like Fifth Element.
is is like, they find, maybe that's what they find is the strange lady.
Okay.
And maybe the strange lady has been like caveman style, like preserved. But maybe like when Picard discovers the person, like the strange lady, on his own, maybe falls into a hole or something. He gets separated from the rest of the group and he accidentally discovers this person and he has to work with them to like get out. And he's also like, this is a huge discovery. And so then also Picard gets to like have his name on something. Yes, that's what I'm going with.
Okay, cool.
Picard discovers a person.
Well, if you'd like to see if Dory's correct, watch along with us and join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a TNG podcast.
Goodbye.